Hi, it's Nan Barrett here from Word Solutions and Nan Barrett Coaching and Mentoring. I'm going to be sharing my bullet journal method. This is the method that I use to organise my daily workload and to remember things, because I don't remember a lot of things anymore, which is really annoying. And I needed to figure out a way of making things work for me. Now, I've researched the bullet journal method, which is not my invention, but I've adapted it to suit myself and to see how it works best for me. Sometimes I change it up a bit. So you don't have to follow this step by step. You just look at the principles behind keeping a bullet journal and then doing something similar to this or something that is completely different. Whatever suits you. It's just a way of capturing your thoughts and works and little jobs and things. Now, I forgot to put in an image of my book, so I have a lovely handmade cover on my bullet journal, which I might just take a photo of and insert here when I get a minute. And it was gifted to me, and then because it's a cover with can hold an A5 size book, and it just slips into the cover, and it makes me really happy to have this on my desk. I like the look of it. So here we go. We'll see, this is the bullet journal that I've just revamped again recently. So the date at the top is reflects that's the date up here. It reflects the actual week that I'm working on, so April the 27th, which is a Monday. So I work from Monday to Sunday in my bullet journal, and I decided this time to just, I don't know, smarten up or just make my cover a bit more interesting. So on the page before I started this week's journaling, I stuck this little cardboard saying on there, which is quite cute. Start over, start late, start slow, start again, just start, which is sometimes the hardest thing we can ever do, isn't it? Starting. So here we go. This is the first page of my bullet journal, and I am going to change it a bit. I have been drawing a line down the center of each page and using 2 columns, but I'm finding that 2 columns are actually looking very cluttered and taking up too much room. So I know it's 2 columns here, but I'm going to spread this out from next week's new bullet journaling week. So I put in a list of things that I think I should try and do at least one of these every week. It's a habit tracker, so I've just I've written item and then made a little 7-day grid with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on across the top here. And then I've written down a list of things that I then, once I've done them that day, I just colour in that space. I'm using an orange texter or highlighter this week. Next week I'll change the colour of the highlighter, because I quite like breaking up my weeks into different colour codes, and then I might have 4 different highlighters, and then I'll go back to the orange at the beginning of the 5th week. So I've written down shower because that's an easy win. I have a shower every morning, so I can just fill that in on Monday morning. That's tomorrow. I make the bed. That's an easy win for me too, so I can colour that in. Bath means I swipe around the bathroom and clean the bathroom and swish around the toilet. Cook, I don't like to cook a lot, so it's a red letter day for me when I actually cook from scratch, so I will mark that. I mark when I do laundry, because I'm also a bit confused as to when I change my bed sheets, what day of the week. So sometimes I'll do them on a Friday and sometimes on a Saturday or Sunday. When I've got on the day that I change the sheets, I coloured the square in with the marker, and then I just write S on there. That shows me that I've changed the sheets that day, so that reminds me. Read, that NF is non-fiction, read fiction, journal, get up by 7, trying to get a bit of discipline in my getting up, and so on. And these are just sort of filing. And one shelf means I want to declutter a shelf or a drawer. Meditate, and artist date because I'm doing something to do with my journaling, which involves me making sure I have at least one day a week where I spend a couple of hours just doing something for myself. Working on my business rather than in my business, housework, inbox zero, so to remember to empty all my emails out of my inbox before I go to bed, and log my appointments into my Google Calendar. So not my calendar so much as my Google Hub, so that my appointments will be every day. I'll go to Google Hub and I'll say to it, I have to be quiet because Google will listen. I say to it, hey Google, and it's listened to me, damn it. And I'll say to it, please can you remind me that I've got a doctor's appointment at 2:15 tomorrow. And then I'll ask it to give me another reminder for another thing that's happening tomorrow evening. So I've got a coaching appointment tomorrow evening, so you can probably hear Google going on in the background. Hey Google, cancel. So that'll just stop it doing that for a bit. So next week when I set up my pages again, parking will have its own sort of page, and these are things that I need to do, but they're not terribly urgent. They're not sort of life and death urgent, and they include things like do my blog, do my BAS. Well, that's kind of urgent. But I sort of do that every week anyway. A bit of BAS, some project work, reminder to do something with a brand SA logo, and so on. So that's just called parking, and I'll show you what we do with. I put little dots in front of every new entry, so it's a dot means that's a new thought. So blog gets a dot and BAS gets a dot and so on. And so when we come to actually doing these things, instead of crossing them out, I just put a cross, an X, across the dot like an X. I'll just draw it across, and that means the job's done. So that's a bonus, and it makes me feel good. And if you wanted to, you could actually highlight anything that you've done, get it off your list, and that might make you feel better, or cross it out, or whatever method suits you and whatever makes you comfortable. Then I've got another page I've broken up into the things I must not forget. So that's for this week. I've actually got more than 8 things here, but I'd recommend that you only have 8 things that you list there for must not forget, and that's for this week. I don't really need to put the BAS there because I do it every week, but I've just got to remember to rebook the podiatrist and that sort of thing. But it's a good reminder of the things you mustn't forget this week. And then things that I'm waiting on. If I'm waiting for a response from people, I'm waiting for some people to send me some Anzac Day photos from various communities around the place that we can use on our social media, because I do some work for a client who wants to have that. I'm waiting for an ad proof, 2 ad proofs actually to come through. I'm waiting for the account from my gardener. I want to keep an eye on that because I don't want to forget to pay him, and the account from the pest control. And I'm waiting for a call from Kent, who's a handyman. He's been referred to me by my friend Liz. And then this is my daily flow. So this is actually the jobs that I have put down to get done on Monday or as soon as I can. And I've just highlighted that with daily flow. I've got a column down this side here on the left with the word code above it. And that just means that I can add a code to it. I can X there to say it's done, as well as putting an X through the little dot. I can put an arrow in that little box to say that I've moved it forward to the next week or the next day. I can put a circle in the box to say that I'm waiting for something to happen next, or I can't finish it until I get some more information. And then I have an exclamation I can pop in for something that's an urgent follow-up. And so at the end of each day, I can look down at that list and see what's happening and mark it accordingly. When I've written PID, it means that the piece of paper relating to this is in my diary, and I'll show you my method of keeping papers. So they're actually physical paperwork. I'll show you my method for that at the end of this, and I call it my small filing cabinet. So I begin my list with, I use a circle here. I know it sounds confusing, but bear with me. You get used to it. I use a circle here to remind myself of a physical appointment or an online appointment. And this appointment's for me, and it's for my doctor in Clare. And then I've got a telehealth appointment I've written in there for my husband. And then I've got an appointment tomorrow night to go to Blueprint Coaching, which is my coach call. And then I decided I'd make little squares to remind me that these are phone calls. Call my podiatrist to make an appointment because I had to cancel the last one. Call the hospital about my husband's appointment. And then I've got some jobs I need to do. I need to add new clients to my CRM, which is called Infinity. I need to create or update a subscriptions list in my Infinity and add my subscriptions bit by bit and include any cancellations or pauses, and so on. So that's and then there's client notes, check things, look things up. Sometimes I look up things that I think might be interesting, so I'll just make a note there, and so on. So that's easy enough. So if it has it, and this is how I just recently triaged everything on my desk. It got a bit overwhelming. I had a huge pile of papers. There were loose papers everywhere. There were little notes. They're similar to the size of the one I've got in my hand there in this image. And these little notes all had odd things on them. And so I had to go through and decide what to do with all this information so I could capture it and not forget. So if something has a date, it goes in my Google Calendar, and then I can throw away the note. If it needs action, it goes in my Bujo, which is the bullet journal. If it's just for reference, then I can either throw it away or file it. So that's sort of a pretty simple method. And then for the bullet journal, I've got a Friday reset ritual for 30 minutes, which is what I do every Friday, which is I review my carryovers and see if they still need doing or what kind of priority I need to give them. I update the waiting on list, so make sure that I've actually received responses to everything I'm waiting on, or I should follow up. I check with my project parking. So that was the parking area that we had a look at right at the beginning, which I will be, as I say, giving its own page to next week. I'll clear my desk on Friday to make sure that there's nothing that doesn't need filing or getting rid of. I'll update my CRM if it needs to be updated. That's my customer records management tool. I'll make a rough plan of what I'll be doing next week based on my calendar. And then I'll choose a reward that I'll put into my calendar as to what I'll do with myself for my next artist date. Then on Sunday, my prep has always been to prep my bullet journal for the coming week. So that's drawing my columns there for the habit tracker and putting dates in and that sort of thing. And honestly, all this will save your sanity. It's more than just a fancy app. So this is the code. We talked about that column I put in on the days of the week. So I put a little line down the side of the page, and this is the code you can put in there. X for done, an arrow to move it forward, 0 for waiting, exclamation for urgent. And at the end of each day, you can do that in your bullet journal, and then the paper in the diary is the other note. And if you do that, you'll be pretty well organised. And all that I do after that is, I showed you Monday, is that at the end of Monday on Tuesday, I put a box, I write Tuesday and the date of the day, and then I move on to my list of jobs for Tuesday. At the end of each day, just flick through the bullet journal and pick out your tomorrow's top 3. Don't make it more than that. 3 is quite a lot of things to get done in a day if you've got other tasks as well, but tomorrow's top 3, which are the non-negotiables that have to be done, and time block, like put a time area in your calendar if you need to, just to make sure that you quarantine that time that you need to get the jobs done. And this is my 2024 diary, so it's a couple of years old. It took me, I don't know how many years to figure out that I don't have to buy a new big fat diary every year. It's an A4 diary. I usually get it from somewhere like Cheap as Chips, and I just use it as a mini filing cabinet. It doesn't have anything else much in there except for pieces of paper. So if I get a doctor's appointment and my doctor says, I want you to have a blood test in a month's time, I record that in my Google Calendar, and then I put the blood test form in my diary on the date where I put it in the calendar. So the day I've set to go and have the blood test is the day that it slips into the diary. And my diary, I don't care what day of the week it is, whether the day of the week actually matches up with the date correctly. I just have to look at the number, which is the date, and if it's the 26th of May, it goes in the slot for the 26th of May. And I can use one diary over and over again, and I'll never buy another one because this one is plenty. And that's just what it looks like. I just opened the diary on the 6th of May actually, and there's a blood test form there, and it's just slipped in there at the 6th of May, and when the time comes I can find it easily and get it out of there. So absolutely perfect. So thanks for playing along. If you have any issues with this, just let me know, and we can do a one-to-one or have a coffee catch-up and just see how it's working for you. But I really enjoy using my bullet journal, and it keeps my head on straight, and the times when I've actually decided that I can't be bothered doing it are the times when my world absolutely implodes. So good luck with that, and enjoy playing with your bullet journal. You can make it pretty, you can do all sorts of things, and I just like to use it, so good luck with it.